To register for course sales, you visit the website and create an account. You've got to enter your organisation name. This is usually the name of your training company. Then choose a short name. The short name will be used for your the beginning of your URL that you'll access course sales from. So taking the acronym is usually a good idea. That can make it easy and to access it, easy to remember. And here I'm going to use FATC. Enter your email address and other details. Choose a username that you'll remember. Those people who are looking at using EVATMIS, you're best off choosing the International Training Company or Training Organisation license. That's the one I suggest people use because it has the most functionality at the least price. It's a good balance. Confirm you're human and then submit the form, and that will send an email through to you in about 10 minutes, between 2 and 5 minutes or 2 and 10 minutes. You should receive an email, and once you receive that email, you then click on the Activate coursesales.com account. That'll give you a confirmation of that, and then another email will introduce you to the site. Okay, so now we're logging into the system. I have to enter my password as I entered it during sign up. And you can see here we have a bit of an introduction, a few links here that go through to specific things within course sales. Now, one of the first things we have to do is set up tax rules. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that, and then we'll go to set up a course master, and we'll set up a course date as well and have a look at that from the public point of view. So, first step, let's set up our tax. You see in there's no tax rule types. We've got to add a tax rule type. So first of all, let's click on the new button to add an extra option. So I'm up here is the ribbon, okay, and these are the different tabs. I've clicked on the publish tab. I've gone to options. I'm going to add a new. So here we go. Add a new one. I'm going to select the tax rule type. Okay, so this is just setting up the upper level. I'll click on add. Okay, so we've got tax rule type then. I'm going to click here which says tree view of this option, and that's going to allow me to add a child. I'm going to call that GST. So click on add. There we go. So we've got our first tax rule type, but that's not enough. We need to actually create some tax rules associated with it. So I'm going to click here to the finance tab and set up a tax rule. So let's have a look here. You'll see that there's no tax rules yet. Click on new, create a tax rule type. Again, I'm going to call it GST. Now first we have to create two tax rule types. It's always a good idea to create two tax rules. We're going to create a default without a location, and it's going to say default there. I'm going to call it GST. Oh my gosh, it's raining outside, so everyone's getting very wet. And I'm going to write GST there, and takes effect from, I'm just going to choose a date just before now, give a rate of 10%. Decimal places, I'll leave all that the same. Here, now replaceable variables, I'm going to create a short format. So this is how the prices will be showed. So let's put the symbol in. And let's then have the price. You can see I'm putting these square brackets around. I'm using these replaceable variables at the top here. And then I'm gonna make the short format the price without tax, and then the long format with tax. But you could make them both with tax, just different degrees of information being supplied. I say plus, and then I'm going to say the plus GST. How's that? And this one here, I'm going to make it basically the same, so I'll copy and paste that down. But I'm going to make that price with tax and take away that and say including GST. And again, currency display format, usually we make this format a format that doesn't include tax. You can see we don't have those replaceable variables available to us. So this is the amount that doesn't include price. There we go. I'll just go excluding tax. Click add. There we go. We've got that one. Now, because we have this default set up, we also need to set one up for a location. So let's say I'm based in Australia, so I want to set up a GST for Australia. So I'll click on add based on this tax rule. I'm going to select Australia and tax rule type GST. So this is not the default, this is the GST. And I can just save that as it is. Now some organisations deliver nationally accredited training. In that instance there it's GST free. So again you can create a GST free. I'm going to add based on this tax rule. It's going to call it GST still. In fact we might even create another one called GST free. But let's say this is GST and we'll say this is called GST free. GST free. GST free. Rate is going to be 0 and everything else can stay the same. I'm going to say GST free here just to make it clear. This doesn't have to actually have the with price. I'm going to take with tax. I'm going to take the tax off that. GST free. There we go. Now, like I said, we really need an extra tax rule type. So I'm going to go back into here into publish again, into options and tax rule type. Look at the tree view of this option. And I'm going to add another one, add after this node, GST free. And these actually get added onto the course masters. So we'll be able to set GST free on the course master. There we go. And now I'll go back into finance, tax rules, edit my GST free tax, and give it the tax rule type of GST free as well. There we go. That's all got that tax set up. So we're looking pretty good there. Now the next step is that we'd like to set up a course master so we can set up a course. Now course sales already comes with quite a few things set up for you. So I think we've even got a course master. So I'll go into the publish tab here, click on course masters, and you can see there we've got the your first course master, which has basically most of the information you could need. So I'm going to create a course master for my first aid course. So my first step is, rather than jumping straight into here, I want to actually, well, in fact I could do it because I've got a few course categories here. So let's do that to start with. Let's say first aid. Now the course category is called your first course category. You can edit that, of course. Put the mouse over, click on the pencil and call it first aid. Course format, it says 1 day course. Now I'm going to want to edit that soon, but I'll leave it for now. We've got a course description here, your first course description. Let's edit that to say first aid course label. Okay, we just have to say first aid really, we don't have to worry about adding extra words in. I personally like to try and keep things as simple as possible, but clearly articulating things differently. So this is the first aid course. So I'm just going to do a brief description here. So that's all I'm going to put in for now. Also going to put something in for section 1. So the short section, section 1, they're the ones that are used on the public pages if you're using a WordPress site or using the standard public pages that we provide. And I'll just save that now. And I have to make sure I select it, first aid. And the branch is fine. Terms and conditions. I might want to edit this. Let's add some terms. These are terms that you want people to agree to when they sign up using the registration form. You can make this mandatory, so they have to agree to the terms before proceeding. I'm going to make it pretty basic. Transfers are free. Installations are free. There we go. That's probably enough information for now. We can add more in later. And you can see here, update the name to default terms. Now we've got these default document paths and default course date paths. These are the steps, the workflow that will be carried out for the course date in this instance, and in this case the document. Document topic forms are relevant for those organisations reporting eventmas, and that'll be a subject of another activity later, but I'll just set up the course for now. Now our price here, we're going to sell this at 120, but our recommended retail is actually 150, so we immediately give people a bit of a discount. Now we could also add a minimum price that would ensure that any automatic pricing rules or someone trying to reduce the price will be warned and say, hey, you know, are you sure you want to reduce the price to that amount? So I'm going to put a minimum price of $80. So scrolling down, it's going to be in Australian dollars. That these currencies are already set up. There's a few of them available. Tax rule type, of course, in this instance is going to be GST free. Payment group tells you what of the methods of payment. There's already one set up called your first payment method, and we can adjust that a bit later. We can take credit card transactions, or we can also take things like checks or payment on the day as well. Those are all different options, and you can set up as many as you like basically. So total places is how many people are placed on this course. So we're going to have a maximum of 25 people. It's a public course, so it'll be displayed on the website. I'm not going to have a catalog group. The catalog group is for us to be able to sell extra items when we are getting registration. So you could, for example, in this instance, sell a first aid course, but sell a first aid kit, or you could sell maybe a guarantee on passing the exams, or that will cover the cost if you don't pass, or you could even sell extra tutoring and things like that for other courses. So that's all fine, and I can add some files. So if I've got files that I want to add here, I could add them. I could also add people by role, so I can add additional people that I've set up, for example, a venue organizer, a trainer, maybe a course administrator, those sorts of people. Okay, so I'll click on save. We're actually going to come back and modify. I want to modify the course format. I'm going to add this, or rather save it. And there's my first course master set up. Now I do want to adjust that format, so I'm going to go in here. I couldn't adjust the format directly from the course master. If I click on formats though, here's the course format here. I'm going to say this is a morning course, morning session, trainer led as opposed to e-learning, and it includes exam. Copy that, put that here. So that information will appear on the website next to the course. And I don't have a topic. I'm just going to say first aid for now. And then I'll just save that. It's not going till 5, of course. It's only going to go till 12. Okay, so if we go back to this course master, you'll see here when I come in and edit it that it's a morning session. Our trainer lead includes exam. Okay, so we're all set there. Now I want to add a date. Click on add dates. In fact, I've got to make sure I've got a venue set up. I think I have, so let's just see what happens. Let me choose a date. I'm going to choose the 11th of December. Add to list. I can choose other ways of adding dates in. We've got rules. so you can add every second week, etc. Or if you've got a spreadsheet, you can actually choose a date format and then copy and paste the dates into here, and then click on insert, and those dates will then be entered into this new dates area. Now with regards to venues, I think I've got one set up. It's just to set Australia your venue, and I can edit it from here. So let's do a bit of an edit. Let's call it the Brisbane Hotel, and the street address is 13 Queen Street. Locations, Australia. Of course, the time zone is going to be Australia, Brisbane. No, postcode I think is 401. It doesn't have a website, and I haven't got latitude and longitude yet. Let's click on save. Choose the Brisbane Hotel. Leave the course description as it is. Leave the prices as it is. Don't add additional prices to the course date. I'm not going to generate topics from the course format. And again, there's no price rule set up, so we're not going to have a next price or anything. So everything else will pretty much remain the same. If I was using an external booking system that I wanted linking to this, I could put an external ID in here to link into it. But just click on add. Great. So I've got my website there. Oh, sorry, got my my first course date there, and you can see here this is under the course dates listing. So if I click on the courses tab and click on dates, that's where it comes up. What I can do now is I can go and I can edit the course date from here. I can view it. I can also add a document, which is basically adding an enrollment. I can view all the documents that are there. I can look at the status of the documents, so that's where they're at in the workflow. I can look at the registration list. I've got no one booked on there, so nothing exciting is going to happen there. And I can also view the status history for this course date, which tells me what activities I've done. And at this point, I've only created the course, so all I've done is create it. So nothing too exciting there. But let's go into the public side and book somebody in. So I'm going to show you how to look at the public pages. There's the ability to incorporate course sales into WordPress. But I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm just testing out the system, and we've already got a public pages we can show you. So if you use the domain name, you see I copied that domain name, fatc.coursesales.com. I can now go public and courses (h equals 1). Ensures the headers are included, and let's just have a look and see what happens here. Okay, there we go. We've got access now to the inquire. We've got an inquire button here. We want a registration button, so we're going to go back, and there must be something set up incorrectly within the workflow. So I'm going to go back and have a look at that. But you can see here the course is listed. It lists the price. It tells us how much we're saving. It's got the date in there, the location. It tells us the format of the course as well, just here. It tells us the venue. It also allows us, this is actually the short version, and then I can show you the long version. There's not really much of a difference there, so I'm going to go back and change that the longer version, maybe include a photograph or something, but also I'm going to have a look and see why we haven't got those two buttons coming up. This will work. So if I click on inquire, I've got a form here that I can fill out, but I'm more interested to have a look at the registration form. So let's click on back. I'm going to go in here now. Now I've probably been logged out, so let's have a look, see what happens when I try and go to the forms. If I click on forms, oh, I'm still logged in. Oh, that's kind of handy. So what I can do is I can go into, there's the registration form there. So I've clicked on forms. I've got the registration form. So it's definitely, it exists. Now, does it exist on the workflow? So I've clicked on automation. I'm clicking on paths now, having a look at the paths. I'm going to have a look at the document path. Click here. Now, this is the document path. This tells us what steps will be carried out when you process a document. So I've got a transfer in step there. I've got an inquiry step here. And notice the inquiry step says visible on public pages, and we have the inquiry form there, the document form. And there's no captcha on that either to human check the person. Here we go. I'm now on registration, but you can see the document form hasn't been registered there. So let's choose registration. And it's visible on public pages. If I just click apply there, come back over here to the public pages tab, refresh that. There we go. Look at that. That register button's come up, and you'll see we then get through to the registration form. So much more complete. Okay, so let's just go back here. The other thing I wanted to do was have a look at the course description. So I'll go to Publish, Content. Now this is the course description. So you went under the Publish tab, clicked on Content. I'm going to edit the course description here. Now that's the short section, which is what you see first of all, but this is the section 1 content. I'm going to add a couple of extra lines here. Okay, and let's just do a few things like make the text red and make it bold, and click apply. And again, let's go back here and have a look at these. I'm going to refresh this. You can see I'm not going to see any changes here yet because it wasn't this text that I changed. I changed the section 1 text, and that's what comes up there. Okay, so this is, you see, I've just actually duplicated the the brief text in the section 1 text, and then we've got these descriptions here, extra text, which is pretty handy. So I can click on register. I'm going to register somebody now on this course. I'm going to call up, Trusty Joe Blogs, and I don't think there's too many mandatory fields here. I'll just click on submit and check. Looks like there's just the mandatory email address. So joe.blogs@coursesales.net. I'm just going to enter that information in. That'll be enough for now. Choose the first payment method. Choose I agree. We're just testing at the moment. Great. So it's come back and it said to us we've got a reference number. We can return to the list, or we can go and add another person onto the same course. So let's return to the list. Great. And we'll come back over here to the administration area within course sales. Let's click on the courses tab. Click on documents, and you can see here Joe Blogs has arrived. So we've got the Joe Blogs details here that have come through. We'll click on course dates, and you notice we've got a registration already. Okay, so I think that's it for step 1, just getting your course set up and being able to have a look at it on a public page and take registrations. That's quite an accomplishment to start with. Next time we're going to look at a few different things, and maybe even set it up so you can do some bookings through WordPress. That'll be pretty cool. Okay, see you then. Bye.